Hey, this is John with Alpine Motors, and this is a 2006 Ford GT. We're going to walk around this car, check out all the things that make it special. It is an incredible vehicle. It is the pinnacle of Ford performance. This is Alpine Motors. You're coming with us. The Ford GT was a celebration of Ford's win at Le Mans. You've seen this in the movie Ford versus Ferrari, but it was also the 100th anniversary of Ford. The really cool thing about this car is where Ford put all of their knowledge and all of their automotive history into this vehicle, they did not over-badge it. They could have put badges everywhere that said 100th anniversary. But what they did do is they hid an Easter egg. That Easter egg is the headlight. If you look at the headlight, it is a 100. Ford did that as a celebration of the 100th anniversary. They also badged it as Ford. They didn't bother putting a different name on it, calling it something else. They called it a Ford GT. And they did that on purpose because they wanted people to know that this was a Ford. The aerodynamics on this car are beautiful. They follow the body lines of the original Ford GT. And what's interesting, GT40 is called the GT40 because it was 40 inches tall. When they built this car, the name GT40 belonged to another company and Ford couldn't use it. They tried to purchase it, but it was an unrealistic amount that they wanted for it. So Ford realized they could just call it the Ford GT and it would stand on its own. It's a little taller than the original Ford GT40, but it is a wonderful car to drive. They only made this specific model for 2 years, 2005 and 2006. And the reason for that is because in 2007, the height requirement for this front windshield section changed. And they could no longer have this exact body line. If they moved that up the 3 inches that was required, it would have broken the body line up and ruined the design of the car. So they made the decision to just produce it in 2005 and 2006. All of the vents on this car are completely functional. Everything has a purpose. Everything is built to be aerodynamic and functional. Speaking of aerodynamics, the mirrors. There is a regulation about the size of the side mirrors. If you look at these mirrors, they have a little circle area on the inside to meet that specification. But Ford kept the housing nice and small so that it fit the body line of the car and still met the DOT regulations. The clamshell on the back is another great example of how Ford worked around the DOT. In the original GT40, the taillights moved with the clamshell. When the clamshell opened, the taillights moved down. The DOT regulations say that you cannot have taillights on a moving part of the vehicle. They have to be stationary. So Ford created the clamshell to move up and back, still give that look of the GT40, but meet all the DOT standards. This is an absolutely incredible car to drive. The balance on it is phenomenal. This one makes about 850 horsepower. It has an aftermarket supercharger, has a light tune to it, but it is so crisp and so responsive. When you put that kind of power in this light of a car, you really need it to be the perfect balance, and this is done beautifully. You'll also notice the rear section here is very reminiscent of the original GT40s. There would have been a bumper here because it was required to have a bumper. Once again, for DOT regulations, this car has had that removed, and it's also had the exhaust moved from the bottom to the top, so it now looks more like the original GT40 did. I really like the look of that. The blue is spectacular on this car. It is so deep and so rich with those white stripes. It is very much a Ford GT color combination and looks amazing. You'll notice things like the taillights. The lights are actually Frenched in, so they create that aerodynamic effect, but then also give the clearance and the lighting that's needed by the DOT regulations. To open the doors, instead of a standard door handle, Ford used a push button. So it's an electric actuated door, which allows the door to open freely and smoothly, but at the same time creates that aerodynamics that you want. The doors are a great example of how Ford carried that original GT40 style into the vehicle. The reason the doors are like this is because the Le Mans race is a running start race. So the drivers have to run to the car. At 40 inches, if you were to crawl into this car, you're going to be dipping down and trying to climb into it, which really will slow you down. Ford did this with the doors so that the drivers just step into the car and settle right in. It makes it very fast to get on board this car and gives you the headroom you need so that you don't have to crawl into the car like you would at 40 inches. The gas cap. Something so simple. They gave it this great Le Mans style. It's Frenched in below the fender. And they added this handle, which is key activated. The handle, you turn the key, pull the handle, and the gas door lifts up. To keep the symmetry, put that same handle on the other side. The handle on the other side opens the trunk. So you put the key in, you pull the handle, and the trunk will open. Everything on this car was done with a purpose and was designed appropriately to build on the body line and the style of the original GT40, right down to the front spoiler. You'll notice they did not put wings and canards and all sorts of ground effects on this vehicle. They wanted it to be a pure, smooth, beautiful representation of the GT40. How do you create that aerodynamics? Well, they actually used the air flowing under the car. By stippling the bottom, they created turbulence, which creates a low pressure zone and sucks the car down. We have a video linked right here that you can go and check out about that. Now let's take a look at the trunk and all of the other features on this car that make it so special, and take a look at the engine. Let's take a look at the trunk, the passenger compartment, and the engine compartment. So to get into the trunk, as we talked about before, there's a shared handle just like the one on the other side to balance the car out. You can use the key, or you can actually use the button on the remote control. You just hit it, and then you can see there's a decent amount of space in here. You can fit a nice little overnight bag. The car comes with a small Ford GT bag that is perfect for putting all your overnight items in it and being able to take it. Along with that, there is quite a bit of room inside the passenger compartment. There's a couple little spaces behind the seats, as well as the floor where the passenger sits. Considering what it is and being a sports car the way it is, it does have plenty of space. So let's talk about the cabin, the inside, the passenger compartment. Ford wanted this to be a very clean and simple cabin. So the first thing you'll notice is the oversized center console. The reason for the oversized center console is because the gas tank is in the middle of this car. To give a perfect balance of weight, they put the fuel tank right in the center console. It is a 5-speed manual, and all of the switches and gauges and everything have a nice silver finish to them. The switches on the dash are custom switches specific for this project. They made sure that they had some touches that were unique, but there are also some things in this car that you'll find interesting and probably familiar, such as the turn signal indicators. These came from a normal Ford vehicle, as well as the door switches. You would find these in any of the models that Ford had during the 2005-2006 era. Even the key fob was taken from the F-150. But when they did that, they also did these wonderful carbon fiber seats, the leather upholstery, and really made this something special to drive. It is such a comfortable, visceral feel when you are driving this car. You are completely connected to the car. The tech is minimal. You have a little bit of a traction control to it, but nothing like the cars do today. It is truly a driver-centric vehicle. All right, let's take a look at the true heart of this beast, the 5.4-liter V8. I absolutely love the power curve on this car and the way that it responds when you hit that throttle. It is the perfect balance, and Ford did an amazing job by supercharging it. You don't have the turbo lag, you have the instant power of the supercharger. So let's take a look. So the beauty of this car, of course, is this amazing clamshell design, because once this is open, you get a really good look at this aluminum chassis. The entire chassis on this car is a space frame. Essentially, it is a complete race car chassis with a motor bolted to it. The body panels on this car are a combination of aluminum, nylon, and it is a lightweight, really sound vehicle. Remember I said that remote control came from a Ford F-150? When you drive this car, it is solid and is planted as an F-150. There are no rattles, no squeaks. It is such an enjoyable vehicle to drive. And then we've got this aftermarket Whipple supercharger that gives this thing over 800 horsepower. When you drive this, it is so much fun. Then it has an X-pipe rear exhaust. So it has the most incredible, deep, throaty tone to it that makes it, the best thing to drive. It also has a single plane intake that helps that throttle body open up cleanly, smoothly, and get that air flowing into that motor. It has an aftermarket wheel and tire package on it that gives you a wider contact patch, so this thing has the traction it needs to handle all of that power. All of these details are put together to create one of the finest vehicles that Ford has ever made. The Ford GT is arguably the pinnacle of Ford technology, Ford performance, all wrapped up in a beautiful package. There isn't too much tech. There isn't too much gaudiness to it. It is simple, it is connected, and it is fun to drive. The Ford GT in 2005 and 2006 was truly a testament to this 100th anniversary of Ford. This is a wonderful car. It is going to a new owner next week, and we have absolutely enjoyed having this, representing it, and bringing it to you. We hope you've learned something about the Ford GT, and we really appreciate you joining us on our channel. If you've enjoyed this content, please like it, subscribe, and leave a comment. That's how we can do more and better videos just like this. Thank you so much for joining us. This is John with Alpine Motors. Have a great day.